Good evening, and happy Thanksgiving from all of us at Gcpu. Hi. By now, many of you know me as Michael Port, the president and founder, co-founder, I should say, of Guernsey County Parents United. It has been one unbelievable year. 1 year ago, Gcpu began after a rally in Columbus, Ohio. I sat here and I began to think in the last couple of weeks what it is I wanted to share with everybody. It's been really difficult to be thankful for a lot of things, but the one thing I do know is that I'm thankful for each and every single one of you. God has truly blessed me with an opportunity to get to know some terrific people. I've had an opportunity to meet legislators. I've had an opportunity to meet people inside the system that know how wrong the system is. It's funny how sometimes I have to have these secretive meetings with people inside the system as we begin to dissect just how wrong and how corrupt our county truly is. Folks, tonight I want to share some things with you from the bottom of my heart. This is not a professional talk. This is just a father talking. This is just a father wanting to share the things that he's seen in our organization, in our sister organization, Parental Alienation Awareness Organization, U.S. Chapter Ohio. I want to say this. As I have sat here for the last 4 Thanksgivings, not seeing my children, I'm still thankful for them. It's hard to focus in on holidays and really enjoy the holidays when you're missing the most important people who make those holidays so special. But today I had an opportunity to go out with my son Jimmy, and a new phase of my life starts. Our oldest son, Jimmy, he now is 21 years old. He got married, and I had an opportunity of being there with him and his wife, Judge Nicholson, and her father. And it's just one of those things as you see one of your children making that next step and taking that big leap of faith to become one with another partner. It's just exciting. But it also makes me nervous at the same time. Here I am, 39 years old, and now, not only am I a father-in-law, but now I'm going to be a grandfather as well. I sat here in the last couple of days planning a baby shower for my grandson, my daughter-in-law, and my son, and I've just enjoyed it. It's been truly exciting. I'm truly thankful for both of them, and to be quite honest with you, I'm not really sure where I would be if it wasn't for the fact that I still have contact with one of my children. Many of you know the story. Many of you have read my story. One of the saddest things that bothers me is that my ex-wife alleged that I had abused my oldest son the most. I won't disagree that him and I have gotten into it at times, and he went to Children's Services and he said that he probably deserved a lot more than what happened in our relationship. But he's been completely faithful to me. He's been an encouragement to me. And I'm proud of him. My prayer is that he's the best father he can be. Sometimes dad tries to step in the relationship and tries to be a dad. And sometimes he doesn't like that because he's moving on. But I only do that because I want to see him succeed. I want to see him be happy. I say all of that to say this. I'm thankful for my son Jimmy and the relationship that we have. Sure, guys, you all know it. All relationships are rocky. There's a lot of storms in a lot of our lives on a regular basis. There are some people that continue to be in a marriage and a relationship that, to be quite honest, they probably should have been out of a long time ago. But yet they continue to do it for the kids, or do it because they love one another, or at least think they do. I want to share some things with you tonight that I have just was really excited about. As many of you know, in the last couple days there have been 2 articles from our organization that have been in the newspaper. I want to thank Janice Dennis and Peggy Nellinger for sharing those articles with us. But tonight I wanted to just read each of these articles, share a little bit of my perspective about what they had to say, and then share my own Thanksgiving message. This is not going to be a short message. I truly just want to share my heart, share our organization's heart, and share a little bit about where we're going to go in 2013. I don't want to share too much though, because that's part of my presidential address for the next year. Janice wrote an article in the newspaper excuse me, that I thought was great. Here's what she had to say. Holidays can bring sadness. As the holiday season approaches, please pray for all those divorced moms and dads and their immediate families who grieve over the loss of their living children due to the revengeful acts of the children's other parent. This is one of the saddest times of the year for them, and the holiday with the most suicides for these families who are separated from their loved ones. There's a story in the Bible about 2 women fighting over a baby. To settle the conflict, the king said he would divide the child between the 2 women. The real mother stepped forward and told the king to give the baby to the other woman, for she did not want her child to die. You know, so many moms and dads are alienated from a child because their children share a delusion with one parent who tells the child that the other parent is all bad. The rejected parent has tried to take the high road, like the mom in the story, hoping that doing and saying the right thing will prevail. To be without your children for months, years, often decades is traumatic. To miss school events, proms, graduations, weddings, and never get to see your grandchildren are heart-wrenching. And to know that children who are subjected to this kind of behavior have lifelong emotional scars, and there was not a thing that you could do to stop the abuse, creates a high level of guilt and sorrow. Children cannot cope with the constant pressure from parents, and often step-parents, to reject their other parent. The result is that they fully align with the parents pressuring them to reject. Children also blanket their loss and pain of losing the other parent with hateful words and actions towards the rejected parent. Please think about how this happens. Look at bullying in the school. Look at cults. Look at politics and political campaigns where people aligned, often blindly, spitting out hateful remarks about their opponents. Children of the divorced need help, and parents who have been rejected need your understanding. Please become aware and educate yourself concerning this horrible form of child abuse that goes by the name of parental alienation. Be cognizant of the fact that this is happening every day all around us. Parents and children are losing their loving relationships for no reason other than a need for revenge by an ex-spouse. To turn a child against a parent is to turn a child against himself. Janice Dennis, Chapter Manager, PAAO, U.S., Ohio, Cambridge. Janice, I want to thank you for sharing that article. I thought this article truly helps each of us to understand what it is like to not be able to see our children. You know, let me share some things. There are a lot of you in our organization, within our community, that do see your children. Proper grammar tonight. But there are some that don't. Myself, Ronnie Dennis, Janice, Ronnie Jr., Ronald Jr., we don't see our children. We don't see our grandchildren. But many of you do. Many of you have a custody order that allows you to see your children. But one of the hardest things that we've come to grips with is false allegations, which I'm going to be talking about in a second from Peggy Nellinger's article that appeared in Wednesday's newspaper. I want to share a little bit more about Janice's. One of the things that I have seen as I deal with a lot of people in the movement, in our family rights movement, so to say, with GCPU in particular, is the fact that The holidays do bring a lot of sadness, and they're so difficult. You know, I sat here at home today, and I didn't do much. I ate, I slept, and now here I am. But I did a lot of thinking as well. I can't help but think of my children today and how they're doing, and how much I miss them. But like I told you earlier, it brings a happiness to my face. It brings a smile to my face to see my son Jimmy making the move to improve his life. You know, my prayer is that Jimmy will be a great father, and I'm sure he will, so long as he keeps his focus on loving his wife the way he should, and on loving that child and doing everything he can for that child. With that being said, I'm not sad as much as I used to be. The first 2 years, it was very difficult for me. But I've come to realize that I need to stay strong. I know many in our group have made comments and have said to me, "Mike, you're the strongest person I know." I have to chuckle because my ex-wife said the same thing. Folks, I want to challenge you to be persistent. One of the things that I have seen is that a lot of people who are guilty tend to run away from their issues. That's not every case. There are some where parents are protecting their children. But most of what I have seen lately has been cases where parents are dodging and running and taking off simply because of the fact that they are just trying to keep the evidence from coming out on the abuse that they are actually doing to their children. It breaks my heart. It truly breaks my heart to see parents doing such a thing. Well, I don't want to get off on any rabbit trails or anything, but I just want to truly thank Janice for sharing that article and laying it all out there for us. Holidays can be a rough time, but I want to encourage each of you to remain persistent. Continue to fight for what you love. Never give up. You know, it may be that I may not see my children until they turn 18 years old or till later in their life, but here's what I know. I know for a fact that my children love me. There's no doubt in my mind. I know for a fact that my children read my Facebook. I'm confident of that. I hope my children hear this video because I want them to know that I do love them and that I miss them very much, and that Dad will never, ever, ever give up fighting for you. Ever. It's been a challenge because the court has raped me of my money. But I just praise God and thank God that He is allowing me to continue to fight and continue to achieve. I've had great friends that have been a huge support to me and been an encouragement to me. And it's because of you that make the holidays so much easier. In the last couple of years, I've been invited to different places during Thanksgiving. This was a year that I wanted to just take the time, focus on my son, my daughter-in-law, and their cousin. Just spend some time as a family and go out and do something. Probably would have been just as expensive for me to actually make a meal at home. It probably would have taken more time, and I wouldn't have got the sleep that I really wanted. With that being said, I just really enjoyed this Thanksgiving. The next several days, I'm taking time to focus in on what we need to do as an organization to help people. Folks, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV. But I have learned a lot about the law, and it breaks my heart to see the legal system abusing the laws and using their own discretion to appoint not just judges, but lawyers as well. Lawyers not submitting evidence that they know is required to win their case. Judges ignoring clear and convincing evidence that's right before them that any common sense person would clearly understand. But yet, it's totally ignored. This is why legislation is so important. This is why we need to have things happen, not only for the children, but for the parents. Let me share an article by Peggy Nollinger that was published November 21st, which was yesterday. The title is False Allegations Can Ruin Lives. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about this article as well. And many of you know this article is very personal to me. But it's also personal to her son, who continues to not see his children. And Peggy continues to not see her granddaughter. Once again, false allegations can ruin lives. Editor, how many innocent lives must be ruined by false allegations before something is done and laws are changed to punish the false accuser? Did you know that someone can falsely accuse you of sexual abuse, ruin your reputation, cost the accused thousands of dollars in legal fees, and taxpayers hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars to investigate, and then they can laugh and walk away scot-free? It happens every day. A member of my family has had false allegations made against him twice. Both times it was just before a child custody hearing was to take place. Shouldn't that alone make someone stop and question the validity of such claims, especially the second time around? The first time it took 9 months to clear it up. 9 months during which time we had no contact with the child. 9 months that we were shut out of the child's life. This time so far, it has been 5 months. Although we have heard through our attorney over a month ago that no formal charges will be filed, no surprise to us, we are still waiting on notification from the prosecutor's office. By the way, that's Dan Padden's office, who continues to neglect issues that need to be solved in regards to several of the cases. Until then, we have no contact with the child. I really don't understand why it takes so long. Are we going to miss celebrating another birthday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas with the child? The investigation has been completed, so why are the prosecutors dragging their feet? It isn't fair to us, but it is especially unfair to the child. Making false allegations is a serious problem, and until the false accusers are made to pay, it can only get worse. It could happen to you. Peggy Nollinger, Cambridge, Ohio. Peggy, let me say this. This article touched my heart. The reason it touched my heart is because it is a serious problem. And I see so many people, more particularly men, that are accused of false allegations within this Guernsey County that it absolutely floors me. Folks, let me give you a little bit of an education on false allegations. R.K. Hendricks is a good friend of mine. And in his book, he talks about how protective orders are used as a weapon instead of a shield. The same is true of these allegations. R.K. and I have talked on many occasions, and many of you have gotten to know a little bit about him. And one of the things that R.K. and I have talked about is the fact that attorneys know that this is a sure victory for them. Do you know how hard it is to prove a false allegation? Do you know how hard it is to have clear and convincing evidence? It's extremely difficult. But yet, folks, I'm going to tell you right here and now that many of the false allegations that are occurring in Guernsey County, there is clear and convincing evidence. That's why the prosecutor will not prosecute. I want to say tonight, if Guernsey County Common Pleas Court feels that I'm truly guilty of abusing my children, I want a criminal trial right now. Children's Services, step forward. Take me to court. Prove 100% that myself is abuser, that several other people in this county whose names I will not say, maybe they don't want the charges, but my point is this: you never press the charges. Why?
No formal charges are ever filed because of the fact that they know there's not clear and convincing evidence to prove that the father should not be involved in the children's lives. In fact, in one case, even Mr. Padden said there's nothing that we can do to keep the father from being involved in the child's life, yet that father is not involved today. Thank you, Mr. Padden, for at least recognizing that, but yet not taking a stand to continue to help people. Your job as a prosecutor is to protect the innocent and punish the guilty. And you, my friend, I'm saying publicly, are not doing that. False allegations are serious, and false accusers need to be made to pay. I've had numerous conversations with individuals in Florida, and in different states, false allegations are becoming a serious problem to a point that they realize that, and they prosecute them for making these false statements. I have another instance and another situation. A friend of mine in Zanesville, Muskingum County, her boyfriend basically has false allegations against him, and it saddens me and it frustrates me to see a situation become so blown out of proportion, and the prosecutor's office blow it out of proportion, even to the point of saying, "I gotta make sure he rots in jail." What is wrong with our system? Breaking up a family, make sure that somebody rots in jail when there isn't anything to even prove that there's any abuse at all. What is wrong with us in America whenever we have gotten to a point where we don't give people a fair share in court? I want to say this. I've never had a true day in court. For many of you know, my attorney, the assistant prosecuting attorney in Noble County, Kelly Riddle, threw me under the bus. I had another attorney. He didn't do anything for me. I had a felony possible conviction against me in regards to stalking, harassing, violating a protective order against my ex-wife that I proved with clear and convincing evidence that I was innocent. But yet my ex-wife takes off, moves to Florida, and wherever else she moved to now, who knows? My point is this. Clear and convincing evidence needs to be the standard in custody cases, period. Enough of the he said, she said game. Let's get past that. In one of the counties, I can't remember the name of the county, but 70% of the custody cases are being settled before walking into the courtroom. What a tremendous testimony. What a tremendous resolve and resolution mediation program to be able to solve it beforehand. Parents, I don't care if you're a good parent or a bad parent right now. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to start focusing on that child. I want you to stop worrying about yourself. You know, I see a lot of times that people have to run and hide because they feel so guilty for what they've done. The people in the town begin to look at you a whole lot differently when they see how dishonest you've been. But yet the system supports the dishonest people. Let me share a couple things that are going to come out in 2013. And you may hear me repeat this in other recordings as well, but let me share this, okay? In 2013, we are desiring to do a rally. I'm excited about this. I plan to bring in some big people, maybe have some seminars, or at least have them speak to us. We're going to bring in some different seminars and conferences and things to Guernsey County because the reality is we need to educate the system. But the system doesn't just need educated. The system needs a spanking. There are individuals in our organization right now that are putting a spanking on the system. I'm going to continue to do everything I possibly can to help each and every single one of these individuals continue to spank the courts. Continue to spank their lawyers. When lawyers and judges start doing what is right, then we don't even need to exist. Guernsey County Parents United became an organization because of the fact that the system is so messed up. It is so crooked that we had to start an organization so that parents could meet together, talk about their cases, find some support, and And we sit there and we hear attorneys, the same attorneys' names over and over and over, violating people's rights. We hear the same judges. We hear Moorhead's name. We hear Marshall Holland's name. We hear Judge Elwood's name. Don't hear Magistrate Jones's name very often, but my point is, these names are being mentioned over and over and over and over, where the system is just ruined their lives. Folks, let me share this. As I've reviewed a lot of cases, which, by the way, I want you to know, when I reviewed those cases, the Guernsey County Court website made it able for me to be able to do the research. I'm not able to do the research anymore because the Guernsey County courts have changed the format so you can't search and be able to look and see what kind of cases Marsha Hollins has had and how she's ruled. I'd have to go to the courthouse and go through each and every single file in order to do the research that I need to do, or that I was able to do before they changed this system. Let me say this. You can't hide the records forever. The courts are going to be held accountable. If you continue to publish the divorce records in the newspaper, I'll make contact with the individuals and I will look up their names. I want to thank the courts for making it easy for me by putting it in the newspaper. Let me say this. One of the things that I really want us to do in 2013 is to have a rally where people come together. And folks, I'm going to share this and throw this out there now. There are too many of you in Guernsey County that are sitting on your butts doing nothing. You know how messed up our system is, but yet you continue to keep your mouth shut. Why? Why? Some people are afraid of retaliation. I say, don't be afraid. Stand up for what's right. There are parents in our organization that have stepped forward. In the beginning, they were afraid to even add themselves to Guernsey County Parents United page because the courts may see their name and them being associated with us. I'm going to tell you what. My prayer is that the courts get to a point where they are so afraid of us that they begin to hold and make accountability a priority. I want to get to a point where they see that there are people out there who are going to make sure that their rulings and their decisions are law. It amazes me as I look at through these different case files, and I see the findings of facts, which aren't facts at all. It's hearsay 90% of the time. And the conclusions of law that never really are conclusions of law. They're conclusions of what the judge thinks. Oftentimes there's no ordinances stated. There's no laws that are stated. And many times they use the same law that has nothing to do with what the person's been accused of. The statutes don't even match what's being said. And then when you look at the statutes, you sit there and you think, but why is the parent only getting 50 hours a week? 50 hours a week? Some even less than that. Folks, it makes no sense. Most parents in most of these custody cases are only receiving about 160 hours a month. Seriously? When there's over 600 hours in a given month? It's frustrating. Very, very frustrating. It breaks my heart. Here I am 30 minutes into this video, and I still haven't got to some of the things I want to truly talk about. So the rally in 2013 is definitely a big thing. We'd like to do a rally in April. The place, I'm not sure. I'd love to do a rally right in front of the courthouse, because I think people need to see just how messed up all this is. And you know, folks, I don't really want to slam the court system. I want to give the court system a chance. To the courts, if you ever watch this, if you jump on Mr. Gcpu or any of our other sites, which, by the way, I know you do, then I want you to know this. Why don't you do what's right? Why don't you let the children be involved, the parents be involved in the children's lives? Let the children have a loving relationship with both parents. Enough is enough. Many parents are not proven to be unfit. I have one case right now where they're basing the case off of what they did when they were a juvenile or what they did before the child was born. Oh, come on. Are you serious? Let me break this down for you. I can tell you for a fact that there are a number of people inside the system that are doing a lot worse than any of the parents in our organization have ever done. There are people working inside the system that are doing drugs, but they still have their children. There are people inside children's services that do their drugs and their alcohol and drink and drive, and yet nothing is done. Why is that? But yet a parent comes forward, loses custody of a child that she brought into the world, and the only thing you got is that one time she admitted that she overdosed on some medication, and that is enough to take the child from the parent and give it to a father who does have a history of drug use, but he sits there and he lies to the court? Folks, here's what I'm realizing. It almost pays to not be honest in the system. How crazy is that? When you look at the scales of justice, it's about honesty. It's about integrity. But yet, when you walk into a courtroom, people sit there and lie. What bothers me the most is I see in these court cases recently where people aren't even allowed to bring people, their own witnesses in to prove that they're not that kind of person. Many of you know I had a huge lineup of people that were willing to testify. Many of them have done affidavits, so if you were to go to the courthouse and look at my file, 09DR156, you would look at that file and say, this man's innocent. There's so much evidence in here to prove he's innocent, so why can't he see his kids? There are people inside the system that have told me personally, Mike, there are people that have been criminally charged of heinous crimes against their children, and yet they still have visitation with their children. So how is it that Ronnie Dennis, Janice Dennis, Ronald Dennis, and Michael Port, and I'm sure there's others, don't get to see their children? Sure makes you wonder, doesn't it? The court has threatened me with vexatious litigation, and I'm about ready to do something that is going to leave the court 100% floorless. I'm just giving you a notice right now, Ms. Hollins. You haven't seen the last of me. Threatening me with vexatious litigation doesn't bother me anymore because now I've come to the point where I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've done extensive research. One person in Guernsey County that I know has actually been found guilty of vexatious litigation. And in my opinion, that person was guilty from reading all the case law that was at the Supreme Court. But let me say this. Anybody in an organization that doesn't get to see their kids, contact me. Because we are about ready to open up something that is going to leave, like I said, the court 100% speechless. And we are going to make sure that the courts are held accountable for the decisions that they make every day, where they are violating the constitutional rights of parents to be able to have a meaningful and loving relationship with their children. You know, what's interesting is I've talked to different people in different agencies, including an individual at the FBI, how much more we can do as a group of parents to fight these issues that are occurring within Guernsey County. Let me get back to some things we want to do in 2013, because I want to cut this off at least by 40 minutes, maybe 45. But one of the things I want to talk about, not only is the rally, but I also want to talk about getting more involved. Folks, people have no idea how difficult it is for me to continue to have a job, for me to continue to work, as well as my Vice President, Angela. Angela and I take a lot of the calls. And by the way, we are voting for new officers in December. I told Angela she should run for president, but I think she's going to stay at VP. But that's up to you. All right, I'm giving everybody in our organization a chance to vote, so we'll let you decide. But let me say this. We need people to step up and be more involved. It's really hard to plan events and things while you're taking all these phone calls. I mean, I can tell you recently there's been phone calls that have taken me 2.5 to 3 hours, and I've sat there and listened to people. I know that Angela has actually met with individuals and she's looked over their case file, and it's just absolutely, we're all floored by the kinds of things that we say. And as we look at the paperwork and we look at the findings of facts and conclusions of law, just how common sense isn't even being used, a lack of discretion, really, by the system. So here's my challenge to everybody in Guernsey County Parents United and everybody in Guernsey County. Please get involved. Our organization continues to grow. Our organization continues to help people. This Monday night coming up, we are excited because we're going to be celebrating 1 year. Our 1 year anniversary is coming up. It's been 1 year. November 26th, we will celebrate 1 year of GCPU. We will talk about what we've been able to accomplish, and we will talk about what will occur in 2013. We'll talk more about the rally. We'll talk more about what we can do as an organization to be involved in some great affiliations and some great organizations that we can partner with that will allow us to be more successful in being able to tackle the issues that we see within the Guernsey County juvenile courts and common pleas courts, more specifically domestic relations. These issues will be resolved. 2013, my friends, is going to be a year where we are going to make such a loud voice be heard that I guarantee you people in Cambridge, Ohio and Guernsey County will know that we are here. That is not a promise. That is a threat. Okay, maybe it's a threat. Or maybe it's a promise, not a threat. Either way, we are going to let people know that Guernsey County Parents United is here to stay, and we are just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. In the first year, we've helped a lot of people. In this next year, we're going to help expose. Many of you know the tape recordings that I have, and more tape recordings that I will be receiving. That just goes to prove how much corruption there is. If you have ever audio recorded a tape with Children's Services, with the court system, and you live in Guernsey County, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Send it to me. I don't care if you send it by email, you want to hand deliver it to me, heck, I'll pay for your lunch. I want to sit down and I want to talk with people about how corrupt things have been. Let me say this, folks. I don't have the tapes. The tapes are not in my hands, but the tapes will be used. And if something should happen to me, I don't think it will. I don't think I'm that big of a threat to the system. The tapes are elsewhere. And there are lawyers and judges that have reviewed them, or will be reviewing them very shortly. And it amazes me to hear what people have to say, and these individuals have to say regarding these tapes, and how damaging they are to our very system. 2013 is going to be quite a year. So, we need people to get involved. We need people to step up. We need people to do everything they possibly can to help our organization succeed. When we post something on Guernsey County Parents United, put it on your Facebook. I've got over 3,000 friends on my Facebook. Actually, I have exactly 2,489, so I'm pushing 2,500, I apologize. Pushing 2,500 friends on my Facebook. And many of them reside within Guernsey County. You know, there are many people who won't comment on my site, but yet when they see me on the street, they tell me to keep doing what I'm doing. Working in retail, I see people in the stores. Working in retail, I see these lawyers and these judges on a regular basis. I've even ate across the table and just glare into their eyes and think, at some point, you will be punished for what you've done to myself and many of these families within Guernsey County. I have never yelled at the system. I have never yelled at children's services. I have never yelled at the courts. My ex says I have anger issues. Oh, I'm angry, okay. I'm angry, all right. I'm angry at the system. But yet I've contained my composure. I've continued to fight and just do what's right. And that's what I want to challenge each and every single one of you to do. If you live in Guernsey County and your case has been a shambles, don't you think it's time right now for you to step up and do what's right? If you don't want your name to be known, that's fine. Just give me your information. I'll keep your name fully disclosed. Nobody will know. But your information is vitally important to us at Guernsey County Parents United and the Parental Alienation Awareness Organization, because there are many parents who are alienated from their children on a regular basis and don't see their children. And why? For political interest, for personal gain. Affiliations are one of the things I've seen as a huge problem in our county. And more issues of that will be tackled in the next year as well. Folks, I need your help. I really need your help. In order for me to continue to fight and help people and be an encouragement to people and be a support to people, I need more people to step up. It's that simple. There's times I've talked about stepping down as the president because of the fact that people aren't stepping up. People aren't helping. I think that's how we feel, most of our officers feel. We need people to do more. My question is, are you ready? Are you ready? 2013 is a great opportunity for you to get involved. We have a lot of things coming up, most of which I won't share except for the rally. But you can be involved. So please do the right thing in 2013 and get involved. I've got 2 minutes and 15 seconds left, and I want to cut this off. But let me say this. Guernsey County Parents United has truly been a blessing to me. And when I started this with Janice, and she says, hey, let's do something about it. Started out with just her and I. Then I read Angela's article, and then Angela came along. I remember my very first meeting being so nervous. But now, I stand in front of our organization, confident that what we are doing is just and right in the eyes of God, and quite possibly in the eyes of most men and women within Guernsey County. I want to challenge and encourage each and every single one of you within Guernsey County to get involved. If you're seeing this video, or hearing this audio I should say, because I don't like my face being seen, because I got razor burn and I'm really not that pretty. But anyway, I want to challenge each and every single one of you to come out, get involved. Our December meeting is going to be a banquet. We'll talk more about that at our meeting this Monday night on November 26th, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Guernsey County Crossroads Branch Library. We'll be talking about a lot of things. Our agendas will be full. There are so many new folks that are coming out. It will be, by far, our largest night ever. And I'm excited about that. As we celebrate our 1-year anniversary, we will see more people come out on that night than any other night that we have in our year that we've been together. I want to thank you for taking the time and listening to this video, and I know it's long, and maybe you didn't even get to the end of this video. But if you got to the end of this video, and you know what the key word is, you have a chance to win a $10 gift card at our next event. But you have to email me the key word, and the key word is Lady Justice. God bless, and have a great night.